Over the past few weeks, something unusual has been happening across the Pacific Ocean, and it has begun to attract attention from researchers, ocean observers, and people who follow strange natural patterns around the world. In several completely different locations, one of the most mysterious creatures in the deep sea has suddenly begun appearing near the surface. And while seeing one of these animals is already rare, the fact that multiple sightings have happened within a relatively short period of time makes the situation particularly intriguing. The creature at the center of these reports is known as the Oarfish, a strange ribbon-like animal that lives thousands of feet beneath the ocean's surface in an environment that humans rarely explore. These fish are among the longest bony fish on the planet, sometimes growing to lengths of more than 30 feet. Yet, despite their size, they remain incredibly mysterious because they spend almost their entire lives drifting through the deep sea. Most of the time, the only reason humans ever encounter them is when something unusual happens. Occasionally, an oarfish will rise toward the surface because it is injured, sick, or disoriented, and when that happens, people suddenly find themselves face to face with a creature that looks almost prehistoric, with its long silver body and flowing red dorsal fin extending along its back. For centuries, encounters with these animals have fascinated coastal communities around the world, and in some cultures they are surrounded by legends that give them an almost mythical status. In parts of Japan, for example, oarfish are known as messengers from the palace of the sea god, and according to long-standing folklore, their sudden appearance near the surface can sometimes signal that something powerful is happening beneath the earth. Because of this belief, they are sometimes called Doomsday fish. Whether that idea has any real scientific basis is still debated today, but what makes the current situation particularly interesting is that several sightings have occurred recently, and most of them are happening around the same massive geological region known as the Pacific Ring of Fire. This enormous zone surrounds much of the Pacific Ocean and contains the majority of the planet's earthquakes and volcanic activity. Nearly 90% of the world's earthquakes occur somewhere along this tectonic boundary. Before we look more closely at the recent sightings, if you enjoy exploring strange natural phenomena and mysterious patterns like this, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss upcoming videos. Now, let's take a look at what has been happening. The first unusual event in this sequence occurred on December 30th, 2025, when a ribbonfish appeared near the surface in Monterey Bay, California. Ribbonfish are close relatives of oarfish and belong to the same family of deep-sea species, sharing the same elongated bodies and similar habitats deep beneath the ocean. The individual seen in Monterey Bay was relatively small and likely a juvenile, but even seeing a young ribbonfish near the surface is extremely rare because these animals normally live far below where sunlight reaches. Their environment exists in the dark depths of the ocean where pressure is immense and conditions are completely different from the shallow coastal waters where humans spend most of their time. At the time, the sighting was unusual, but it did not immediately attract widespread attention. Then, several weeks later, something much stranger happened. On February 20th, 2026, two large oarfish washed ashore in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. Seeing even one of these animals is uncommon enough, but the appearance of two large individuals at the same location immediately raised curiosity among observers. These were not small fish either. They were clearly adults, long and unmistakable in appearance, as their shimmering silver bodies stretched along the shoreline. What made the timing even more curious was the fact that this event occurred on the same day as a rare astronomical alignment known as the Great Conjunction between Saturn and Neptune. Even more interesting is that this alignment occurred within the constellation Pisces, which is traditionally represented by two fish. And on that very same day, two massive fish from the deep sea appeared on shore. Now, of course, coincidences happen, and astronomical alignments do not necessarily influence events on Earth in ways that are immediately obvious. Still, the strange timing was enough to make many people start paying closer attention to these sightings. Then, only a couple of weeks later, another appearance occurred on the opposite side of the Pacific Ocean. On March 4, 2026, a 2-meter-long oarfish washed ashore on a beach in Da Nang, Vietnam. The fish weighed roughly 10 kilograms and was likely a juvenile rather than a fully grown adult, but its appearance was still remarkable because these animals rarely come anywhere near the surface under normal conditions. When you step back and look at these sightings together, an interesting pattern begins to appear. California, Mexico, Vietnam, all connected by the same enormous tectonic system beneath the ocean floor. One possible explanation involves changes occurring beneath the Earth's crust. Many animals that live in the deep ocean rely on senses that humans rarely think about. Because sunlight does not reach the depths where they live, these creatures depend heavily on subtle environmental signals to navigate and survive. Among these signals are changes in electric and magnetic fields within the ocean environment. Some researchers believe that when tectonic plates begin building pressure before a major earthquake, they may generate unusual electromagnetic disturbances beneath the Earth's surface. If those disturbances travel through the ocean floor, they could potentially affect the animals living in those deep environments. For creatures that rely on these signals to orient themselves in darkness, sudden disruptions could be extremely confusing, possibly causing them to move toward the surface where they normally would never go. This theory is still being studied, and scientists have not yet confirmed whether these disturbances actually influence deep-sea animals in this way. But the idea has remained intriguing enough that researchers continue to examine unusual sightings whenever they occur. One reason this theory continues to attract attention is because of several historical events that seem to suggest a possible connection. One of the most famous examples occurred before the 2011 Tohoku earthquake in Japan. In the months leading up to that magnitude 9.1 earthquake, several oarfish were reported washing ashore along Japanese coastlines. That earthquake ultimately triggered a devastating tsunami and led to the Fukushima nuclear disaster, one of the most significant global events of the modern era. More recently, a similar pattern appeared in 2025 when multiple sightings of deep-sea fish were reported across several regions before a powerful magnitude 8.8 earthquake struck near Kamchatka, Russia. Those sightings were recorded across different areas of the Pacific and Indian Oceans during the months leading up to that event. Now, in early 2026, we appear to be seeing another cluster of sightings forming. First Monterey Bay, then Mexico, and now Vietnam. Of course, it is important to remember that scientists have not established a confirmed link between oarfish sightings and earthquakes. Many marine biologists believe these appearances may simply be caused by illness, shifting ocean currents, or other environmental factors that disrupt the fish's natural habitat. But when rare events begin appearing in clusters, people naturally start looking for patterns. For now, these mysterious fish remain one of the ocean's most fascinating inhabitants, drifting silently through the deep sea in a world that humans barely understand. And whenever one of them suddenly appears near our shores, it inevitably raises the same question. Are they simply lost travelers from the depths of the ocean, or could they be responding to something happening far beneath the Earth itself? If you enjoy exploring mysteries like this, there's another fascinating story waiting for you right now. Just click on the video on your screen to continue the journey.